Boom.
Let's get it.
Get it.
Welcome to the Glue Pod.
Hosted by Aaron Glukov.
Can we check in? You kidding me right now? Go to your phone.
Featuring musicians, boxers, and some of the shit.
Let's start the show.
Can we do this?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Glue Pod. Happy to have Fabio Patiño, better known as the artist Fabi, in the house today.
Yes, thank you, man. This is awesome. I love this.
I know, right?
This
is just a freaking great location to do this.
Yes.
I love your spot, Digo.
Thank you, Digo. Thank you, Digo. We're digging it, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for freaking reaching out, having interest, and even coming on.
Yes.
You have a big show coming up June 17th, which we're gonna get into in depth, but I want to start at the beginning a little bit, and get your story. I know you came here in '97 and from Mexico, and worked your way up in the scene. I read in one of your bios that you were pushing drums around in a shopping cart up and down South
man.
Beach.
Oh my God. I can't tell, really. I can't wait to tell that story in full length. But yeah, I mean, in those years, my first gigs as a drummer were right out of college. Right as soon as I got out of Miami-Dade College, my teachers actually hired me for a gig on South Beach. Yeah, it was Ocean Drive and 3rd, and I was living on Washington and 16th. And it was my first year of college, from Mexico. I didn't have a drum set here. I was practicing in my brother's house on, still made of bucket kits, man, just to keep my thing going, And then in college, met a friend, Rudy, and he had a drum set of Red Pearls. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, can I borrow your drum set? I got a gig with these guys, Forget the names right now, but and then, yeah. That's it, man. So it was me all the way from Washington to Ocean Drive with a huge smile in my face. The hi-hats and this just going
Yes. A drummer's life.
Oh, man. No, it was crazy. It was great. It was great. So, yeah, those were my first, thing, But really from that point on, it stayed playing those gigs. And then from that, met other musicians and just started,
Were you always a multi-instrumentalist? Because we've done gigs together where you were on percussion. Mm-hmm. I've seen gigs where you're singing. Mm-hmm. I know you do both at the same time. You play drum set.
Right.
What's the order of how everything developed?
That's great. The order, here it goes. First and foremost, love of my life, my drum set. Yeah. I'm a drummer, man. I'm a drummer. Yeah. That's my thing. I'm a drummer, drum set. And then everything happened from there, really. It was just, I would start hearing music because I would start playing. I don't think I ever really practiced. I was always playing to records, to something. Yeah, I did. I went through my schooling of the conservatory and rudiments and all that shit. But really, it was more always kind of playing, And then I think that's where I started picking up other instruments to be like, oh, wait, let me see if I can. But yeah, it would be drums. And then I think now is singing. I think singing is now one of my favorite ones. Almost there with the drum set, discovering a new passion. I feel like it's a rebirth for me in music. The whole singing thing. Yeah, because it started more as a songwriter, musical concepts, and the vocals and lyrics kind of, I think with time I started liking it more. Because at first I couldn't stand it, man. I was like, oh shit, that's so terrible. It's like. But then little by little I was like, oh yeah, it's starting to sound good, man. And so, I would think would be drums, singing, guitar. And then, I love playing piano also. I have a piano at home. I sit on it.
Did you grow up playing guitar? Or?
Mainly was drums and guitar, yeah. I was doing guitar with the gospel choir of the gospel version of church in Mexico, yeah. It was a group of young people that were doing the music for the church. And they would get down, man. They would like have like a full band and choir. So I started playing to the songs there, like 3-chord songs,
That's awesome, man. That's an instrument I wish I had stuck with. I took lessons 10, 9. I just never did. I didn't get bit by the bug for
the
guitar. Yeah, and it just didn't go all the way. But now I'm like, man, I love that instrument. Especially if you're getting into singing, especially from a drummer's perspective. There's something about the guitar, like practicing vocals with the piano, which which I feel comfortable enough to like set up chords and stuff for myself, just to practice melodies with.
You're singing, Twin,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, on record, I'm developing trying to get a rig together to be able to do it live. It's as you were saying, man. It's obviously it's really it's hard to get into it and just on many levels, like the psychological aspect of it, and then just the ear, and then the vocal. I mean, I was getting really there was a point where I was getting really into like doing vocal warm ups every day and stuff. And I'm the type of person, and I'm not gonna go on a tangent here, but I had a show that a twin show we were working towards doing. That's what gets me going. It's like I need a goal,
right? Absolutely, yeah.
Clear,
absolutely, man. Like for me now, really that's what the music garden is like. For now, me a pinnacle to where I'm reaching a point where I want to go in depth into this. For me, you're right now, just more adventurous art forms, which is singing, dance, concepts that are tying together. It's a joy that I'm finding now, where a plateau I would call it, because it's more about searching deeper into where I am at. I'm not necessarily in a I know there were times in my life where I was more like really trying to produce, and I was in 1,000 bands. I used to play drums for 1,000 bands at the same time and rehearse with them and know their songs, and all of that was amazing. And now it's like, oh wait, there's so much in that archive, that now I'm having fun with it, like laying it out and just having fun looking at how all these ideas are making a connection point right now.
Yeah. Wait, how old were you when you got here?
Oh man, I was young, man. I got here like I was 19, and just started working right into with my brother. He had a detailing business. So I really didn't go to school for like about 4 years. It was just work, and I did my Berkeley audition on tape from Mexico, and I got like a 40%, and then of course that other 60 was like, oh, okay, not Berkeley, not right now. So anyway, and my brother said, come to Miami. There's Miami-Dade Community College, and it was awesome, man. I was lucky, man. I not only had amazing teachers like JB Diaz, JB. Mike DeLito, and cats that I learned so much from their experience, Alfonso Bain. And doing my shout outs, man, my MDCC shout outs, man. Yes, for sure. Those guys were amazing, and there I met cats like Dave Siegel, like Dave Fernandez, like Juan Turro. Like they were already playing like burning, man. Their combo was one that you had to get there early, and B, if you could sit in on the side of the classroom, because that would pack, and like I remember, a lot of us youngers were like fucking going to see these guys. Like, we're going to see these guys, and be so excited about it because they were so good, man. We're like, man, these cats sound like any group out there. And then next door at the New World were also amazing guys, like the Strickland brothers, the Rodriguez brothers that went on to play with like everyone, man. So we had a beautiful scene both in the jazz and then in the street scene, Suénalo, like it was guys like Juan were in that scene, and then we're also in Suénalo, so it started kind of like bringing in elements from like players that were really at a high level already, and then bringing it into this like really raw like street jam mix, man. So it's awesome, man.
That's cool, man. Like when you like, what was the vibe like in town when that was all going on, and when you were just starting to kind of get out and play versus kind of like now, the way you're doing shows and everything? Like, what do you see kind of as the differences, and what are the pros and cons you like about then and now, maybe?
Yeah, I've always felt that Miami has a cycle evolution. It's like the cycle of a butterfly, and you see it go on and on again. I mean, for the time that I've been here, I have a perspective of seeing the repeat point, and it's beautiful. It's really cool, but it's a bit. It's its own. You have to get ready for the ending and for a rebirth in a cycle that ends and starts again. And so when back in that day when we were doing that, imagine it was the 2001. The world was supposed to come to a shock. Remember, whole 2000, everything's gonna shut down, and people were in a very chaotic vibe.
Totally.
Yeah. That's why the Prince party 1999 is dude, yeah, because this is it, man. There was a lot of that. So it was weird. I think it was a weird time in Miami because, man, when Suénalo started playing, it was ground zero of the loop.
Yeah.
It's where pretty much everything kind of dissipated, and then there's nothing. It's just Miami in that process of seeing where it's gonna go again. Spam was also playing on 24th Street. I forget the name of the place there. At that point, it was just him and maybe a horn, But he was already doing his thing, already doing his show and stuff. So it was just a couple, it was Spam, I remember. And then Suénalo came together. But there was really nothing going on, man. Imagine also no social media as we know it today. No, man, not really. We were already the whole computer thing, but not social media as we know it. So it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. I feel some days so lost, man, with the whole thing because there's so much to keep a track of. I feel like we had so much more freedom down in that moment to create and focus the energy time spent on creating, which is honestly with the Music Garden now is what I want to bring that again to my music making, journey.
Yeah.
Because you going through different stages where you need to stay active and you want to sell your music, you want to do all these things, So the difference now is that, there's this metamorphosis that you have to do for cats that come from my generation, that we have to go through a metamorphosis. And the younger generation, I feel has to sort of reverse metamorphosis to understand a lot of the things that are there, that are awesome too, and part of a history, part of a music legacy. That's huge for me, man. My Miami music legacy is my heart. It's something that I lived by, something that has kept me alive, really, in very dark moments of my life, and in the most beautiful, bright moments of my life. So it's that it has that for me, that huge sentiment because it's been there all the time.
I totally identify with that. I mean, I think. I've talked about a lot in other episodes with other guys on this pod, like Garcia and Eric Garcia and Aaron Lebos or whatever, and just just I think we all have the guys who and just as like you're saying with the cyclical nature of everything here, and just how Miami, the city itself, is undergoing its own renaissance of sorts. There is you hold a special place in your heart for the community because it's small. But it's also something we all kind of take part in creating. We all are and for the guys who have been able to work a lot in the town, the other guys who work a lot, and then you're seeing each other at jam sessions, you're seeing each other on gigs, and there is this very deep sense of sharing, and we don't have to be so cutthroat down here, maybe because it's less competitive. You don't have a friggin' top 10 in the world guy on every block, and not that wouldn't be great too, but I'm just saying it is. I know what you mean by it's you look back over a decade. I think I'm 30 now. I'm about over a decade. I guess I started playing my first gigs in town at 17, 18.
Are you from Miami?
I was born in Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay.
Moved to Gainesville. But I basically raised in 14 on.
Okay,
so I've been here
cool.
for 16 years.
There you go. It's half your life.
Yeah. And within, I moved here when I was 14. So 4 years later, I was taking my drums out and in the Honda and going to clubs and playing from that point to now. So I totally appreciate what you're saying because, it's in a way I feel like it kind of raised me. And it's I grew up playing in this city and meeting guys like yourself and Digo and whoever, and just absorbing and trying to learn and trying to create. And I also like what you said about us younger guys, like, or even the guys younger than myself.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if I can call myself a younger guy anymore. I'm in that mid. I'm 30 now, man. I'm getting older.
We'll come. I think we'll come to find out that, in many ways, when you look at these cycles, and how they happen and how they renew, that a lot of what we understand as age really is outside of biological, normal evolution. Outside of that, everything else is really just everybody's own trip and idea of it. And,
Totally.
And it's a self-created energy, really. It's,
yeah.
It's like, how the what do you call the butterfly when it's a worm?
Is it caterpillar?
The caterpillar.
Yeah.
It's how the caterpillar builds the cocoon. It's like for then, So I feel, to answer you that. And I think, it's great that I feel the newer generations are younger. We were talking about the jam with Digo just a minute ago. And he said it on the mic. He's like, it's good to see the new generation
100%.
in Miami. I thought that was so great, man, because, there are other scenes that are rough, man. You go to New York and trying to hang out with the cats. I've heard stories, whatever. Maybe it's not like that anymore. But it was a moment of feeling proud of that, like, connection, It's like, I think, and there's so much to learn, man, like, from each other, Yeah,
dude,
I think it goes both ways, man, because the new ideas that, like, the players I heard some amazing guys that night, man. I was like, wow, mind-blowing, and so, it's another beautiful thing of Miami.
I totally agree with you. And it's good, like, for guys who are at UM now or FIU or the younger cats or whatever to go check out a guy like Digo play and be, in a jam session with him and Eric, guys who've been here a long time, who are great musicians, and it's like, go check these guys out, learn from them, get involved with them, like, see what's happening right next door to where you are, you know what I mean? And if you don't think, it's worth a sniff, well, these guys toured with Snarky Puppy. These guys are, known by the top dudes and recognized by the top dudes in the world. So just because, we're here in little Miami and you people have a preconceived notion, they may not think there's something to be offered by going to a Jada's jam. Right. But once you get there, you're going to see. Yeah. And once you open your ears, you're going to hear it. So the music speaks for itself. The level, I mean, there's some bad dudes down here, and I wanted to ask you: did you play drums in Swenelo, or did you play? I know you were. I know that's been a rotating cast for years, but I know you had some time with them.
Oh yeah. Swenelo was. I was the drummer mainly. Yeah, drum set player. When I joined the band, which was very shortly after their first show they did in Coral Gables. And I played the drums for Swenelo was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like for me, like a 5-year stretch, 2001, 2005, which is when my first daughter was born, and I had the tinnitus thing and all of that. That year was a transitional year for me. But yeah, man, drum set mainly. Itaúi from Locos por Juana was our lead singer, and Amin and Michelle. And then, as things moved and progressed, Ita had to really focus on Locos, and we were left without a vocal essence. And then those shoes to cover was like, holy, who are we going to call to like sub for Itaúi's? Like, bro, no.
Yeah, no, it's got to be a different
We're
thing.
Like, it's going to be rough, man. So we had to kind of reinvent the band, really, man. Like, and it's when I thought of jumping to the front with an element that was both vocal and instrumental, that could bring a new, like, spice sound element. So I did a rig similar to what I use with the Chamacs these days, but minus the snare. I did actually a couple of different rigs with Swenelo, but it was mainly like a timbalito vibe with bells and stuff, and some hand drum stuff like pandero and kashish, and just to bring with Juan, we used to get really percussive then, So yeah, so that was my 2 stages in Suénalo, drummer, and then I led the band with the timbales and became a singer and songwriter always.
Did you get all your like the Latin percussion stuff together when like just being here by proxy, or did you have a specific time you were studying that? Because obviously with drum set it's like its own language.
Yeah.
And I'm being in Mexico, I'm sure there's an influence there, but the timbales are more, Caribbean. Yeah. So I'm just wondering how that all came together for you, putting together the Latin percussion thing and into what you do.
That's interesting because what happened was that the reason why I came to Miami or even wanted to go to Berkeley is because Mexico at that time was very, it was difficult to get, connected to the world. Like I said, no internet, no social media. So it's like, how do we connect with like that world, Like at the time I remember Chick Corea acoustic band, like how do we connect with that scene, And we had cats that could play like at a real high levels, So basically over there I said we gotta go somewhere where we can be in that, closer to that. So yeah, so I think that was as elemental for me, and really I learned it in Miami. Yeah, because I started working with Jamaican bands, with Jamaican cats,
Right.
So they show you the book,
right.
And they're like,
roots,
no man,
soca,
you guys,
right.
no,
Yeah,
none of that crazy mumbo jumbo, man.
Yeah.
It's just like,
That's amazing.
Or the Cuban guys, like they'll show you like the real thing, or at least their experience of an actual take of that culture, I played in Haitian bands, with Puerto Rican bands, with Brazilians, mostly a lot. Brazilians. I big shout out to Cesar Santana, Rose Max, and Ramatiz, and those guys. I learned a lot with those guys because they hired me for drum set. But when I started working for them, I started falling in love with the singing, and because how rich that music is. The Brazilian book is like
deep,
melodically,
Yeah.
And I've always been a melodic drummer, so that just like it haunted me, man. I kid you not, I was like playing for them, and I would just like get so lost with Rose or with Cesar because they're so good and they know it so well, like, so yeah, and that's how like I started really getting really levitated to that. But yeah, that's how I learned all the styles, man. Just playing with I had an opportunity here in Miami, and I recommend that for the younger audience too, that are or newcomers,
right?
Newcomers to Miami, people that are connecting with us now. Those communities are out there. Like that scene is still alive and fervent. That's why any good day of the week, another boom of like a Suénalo can happen. Like Miami's just so like that, man.
Yeah, and I've met some guys who are coming to UM now because they're really into Latin jazz, and obviously Daphnis, the great Daphnis Prieto is there now.
Yeah, man.
But just my humble opinion, man, you can't learn that shit in a practice room. Doesn't matter who's teaching you. Yes, absorb the information. Get your ass down to Little Havana.
Yeah.
And at one time it was noon till freaking 6. Pepe Montes, like doing crazy salsa, cumbia, whatever. I mean, it's happening all over the city. Your bands, all these different bands that are bringing those flavors, and even you can really like Pepe's group is really stripped down and traditional and in a sense, right? Like, 'cause it's like him.
Oh man, he's awesome.
It's
man.
crazy. So
he's awesome.
Yeah, get like if you're coming to the music school here to learn Latin styles, well, you came to the right place. But also just get out and see, because it's a beautiful thing when you see these like when we were doing this jazz gig, Ball and Chain, all the time when it was open, and just seeing these guys I'd be loaded in my drums, and like people coming out, could be some old guy in his 60s with just a freaking clave just sitting there and just the way he was doing it could just be so slick and so grooving, and he's not there concentrating, he's just kind of in and just right in there, and it's just it I love that because it's not something that's learned. It's just totally it's passed down. It's very like organic and of the cult. I love that, man. I love that.
It's a cool hang, man. That whole Calle Ocho, like that part of Miami's great.
Yeah.
It's definitely beautiful. So much good music. Yeah.
So I want to ask you before we talk about the show, I just wanted to say, who are your like drum set influences? Who are your heroes? Because I know we talked about the percussion side.
No, this is a drummer. This is a drummer hang, dude. This is a drummer hang. Absolutely. Man, I'm gonna tell you.
Let's get into the nerdy shit.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, Stuart Copeland for sure. Like at the top of my list, most certainly. Still today. You know,
love that. I
still
wasn't
today,
expecting
like it haunts me how he like, you know, Murder by Numbers. You know, that whole hi-hat thing. It's like what? No.
Hey, you just switched to righty there. Hey, hold on. Are you left-handed or right-handed? You were
I'm
air drumming
left-handed.
left.
No, I drummed right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah. I
you flipped it up on me. You were going like this, and you went trad. You went straight. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Stuart, yes, for sure. Phil Collins because of Genesis, man. I love Genesis. Which, in fact, I'm gonna give you guys a hint. The Music Garden we're gonna have. We're getting to it, but speaking of Genesis, yeah, I love that vibe. Phil Collins, man, awesome on Genesis, like the early albums. Woo, Bill Bruford, I love Bill Bruford. From the jazz, I'm gonna say Max Roach. It's like one of my guys, man. Max Roach, Billy Cobham, forever, man. Billy. Yeah. Oh my God, this other guy. Hold on. Something Louis Nash, dude. Louis Nash is one of my favorites, man, because he's so flavorful, man.
Yeah.
Louis Nash, dude. Love Louis Nash. And then maybe from other pockets, like more pop or whatever, I like Manu Katché. Fucking love Manu Katché.
I used to wear out those Shaka Khan YouTubes I could find of him.
Oh yeah, dude. Like Manu is like, and all those guys are like Stuart Padawans, you know.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, Manu Katché, Taylor Hawkins, you know. I like from the rock world, Bonham, of course, man. I like John Bonham, Ginger Baker, man. Yeah. So yeah,
I still got to see that documentary.
Yeah,
Beware, Mr. Baker.
Right, I know, man. And frankly, like, I'm starting to get into some of the drummers that sing. You know, like I was checking on Levon Helms.
Yeah,
you know, and he's amazing, man.
Yeah,
the stuff he does is like, wow, it's so cool. I feel that's a great thing. You know, like if. It's something I want to do. Trust me. I think I have a full album of that in me. Like maybe the next thing I'll do is something like that because I'm really feeling it, and I think it's just so cool, man. Like you sing different. I had a friend of mine that I work with in the French horn, Wendell Morris. He said, "Fabi, you sing different from the drums, man. You're just another singer.
Makes sense.
You do something else that you don't do. It. I heard your other show. It's like oh, you gotta do that." He's like, I was like, yeah, you're right, man. You're so right. So I'm looking forward to that, man. You know, singing from the drum set, and
I feel like what I like about Levon's approach, he's a good person to get into because he leaves so much space that you can tell he's orchestrating the drums to the singing and not the other way around.
Yes.
Like the trouble I have sometimes with the twin groups is maybe I've done vocals on the track to some beat that it's like there's no way I'm gonna freaking play this. I have to get another drummer up. It might be some like over the top like thing that's like for that song, but when when I see people doing like really complicated stuff, not really but just not just boom crack, it's like that's a whole other. But what I love about Levon's a good starter kit for you because it's like, you know, he's got the feel and the space.
Absolutely.
And it's about the song.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's about song, you know?
Yeah.
You can have other stuff that's more like exploration of rhythm but yeah, that one in particular is about song. So I you know, I love that. And also like Indian stuff. I've been listening a lot to Indian music for the past few years, man.
Incredible.
And I love that stuff too.
I just saw Anushka, I think it's Anushka Shankar live a couple of years ago. She's the daughter of the really famous
Ravi Shankar.
Ravi Shankar, right?
Oh,
and
cool.
Man,
no, I haven't seen that, but yeah, that family
live,
serious,
like the concert, like hearing that shit live, you're just like
Norah Jones is from that.
Exactly,
tree.
Sisters.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're sisters, and it's like, of course, the rhythm and the tabla playing just a drummer, but to me, it's like you just said, it's the melodies, man. They're so beautiful,
right?
And rhythmic. That's hard because I feel like some things that turn me off about certain like aspects of maybe fusion or modern or whatever, is just sometimes the melody becomes secondary to the execution of the rhythm or the rhythm itself. And that music, somehow they've been able to marry this really rich rhythmic world and melodic world in this way that's like, I feel something emotional, and I'm like, my intellectual side is stimulated, all my senses are stimulated listening to that music.
Good point, man. Good point. I think that's what's interesting about styles. Like, not only the the knowledge that they bring you to learn, but the different aspects that come with it. Like, within the music, there is definitely a spiritual depth that happens when people allow the time to listen to it, to get into it, to really feel it. Is all vibrations, and synchronicities of movement of that music. That is wow. Yeah, man. When I'm at home, I'm always listening to Shir Kumar Sharma and Zakir Hussain. The duos they do with the handle simmer, the santur, it's called in India. Santur, it's played with little hammers. It's a strong instrument, kind of like in a pyramid vibe, like a little bit like that. And so it's like it goes from high strings to low strings in the center, almost like a kora. That it's a mirror image. That's how those guys play that instrument. So it's just,
I gotta get records from you, man.
Check that out. I recommend that, man. Shiv Kumar Sharma, and Raj, of course, is the one that plugged me to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. That changed my life. It's the music that I love listening to, man. Really, at home, like, I'm always listening to that vibe. Like, just, it's part of my home life.
It's beautiful, man. I gotta write down some records from you.
Yeah, no, I'll send you the links. Absolutely, I'll send you those for sure. A couple of favorite concerts. Yeah.
So okay, definitely want to hit this. June 17.
Correct.
Big show at the Bandshell. I just want to give you a second to just kind of give us, like, inform us all what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, so the basic deets for the show is, it's called the Music Garden, and it's a performance art show. That's what I'm calling it. It's on June 17 at the North Beach Bandshell on Collins. And it's going to be great, man. I'm so excited. We're going to have Venesonics do an opening set of their show, which is so beautiful, and talking about rhythm and melody, man. Oof, that's all that is, man. It's like so great. Thank you, Venesonics. Big shout out to Andres and the boys for participating. And there's a surprise with them. We're going to, we have a little surprise with them too. So that's Venesonics. And then the Music Garden starts 15 minutes after the show. So they're going to go from 8:15 to right before 9, and then take a small break. It's a free show, so I'm so excited. They officially, or at least I, really became to that awareness that it's a free show, so it's amazing. And I believe now the people can come to the show. The whole COVID situation has been modified a little bit, but still a safe environment. I recommend to come early and come prepared for all the things that we are doing in support of that. And and then just have a great time. I mean, it's open for children. It's a beautiful show for children. Please bring the kids. I know it's a Thursday night, but it's worth it. It's going to be fun, man. Yeah. So those are the details. And the show is really, it's a Miami story, I feel, because it's of all of us. And we are a very beautiful collective of artists, man, that came together to bring this first chapter of it. And it just has everything from our music, Fabi War Music Trio with the girls that are like amazing, such incredible artists on their own, incredible artists, and then us together. So we are the band, the music, and then we have Ali Samadi. Ali Samadi's doing dance, world music dance. Ali can go anywhere, she can really go anywhere with the dance, and with, she's a fire dancer as well. For this show, no fire, sorry about that, but we are on this show more focusing on the story we're telling with all the elements there, which also will have a movie, a film sequence to the idea of the garden, and the idea is real basic. I think we want to open a portal that night. The Music Garden is a portal. that we open and into inspiration, creation. It's a tight show with, I call them pit stops into the unknown. You can pit stop and then come back, and it's like, so it's a tight show with pit stops to the unknown, and in those moments we are in some way liberated to explore really intensely, and I think that's the key of this show. I think what I proposed to all the cast was that I wanted really to be something that everybody can bring what's what they want to express right now the most. How can we converge into making this dynamics happen in the universe? Because at this point I think it's pretty clear that we are able to combine energy and focus and create different things that we're learning now. We're at a baby stage, but music is such a powerful vehicle for that, and it really brings people to that moment where they feel it. They're like, oh man, yeah, this is great. And that alone, man, that feeling of, that alone is such a great healing energy for the audience and for the people creating that, right? Because it really just ignites something, it awakens something. And so that's the vibe, man. That's the vibe of the Music Garden. It's still a Miami story because it comes from that like real Miami, just very raw, like in the mixing of styles and thematic. There are going to be a few moments that will be very, very intense, very deep. There are moments of explosive energy and rhythm and very introspective moments. It's a very emotional show. For me, I am dedicating the show to my parents. On my end, that I lost last year. At a very short distance, I lost my dad in January. I lost my mom in April. And for me, this is now an opportunity to do something really beautiful for them, and so I wanted to say that. I debated a lot whether I should say that or not, but I'm at a point where I want people to know that it's a tribute to my life givers, and I know that they're gonna love it. So that's in a nutshell, man, like what the charge of the Music Garden has, and of course as a show we are collaborating. We're a collective of collaboration, and we want to create different chapters, different shows, and take it on the road, you know, or just even present it around town. Collaborate with other entities, with children. We want to make it a community accessible vehicle to create. I have that other project that one day we'll talk about, maybe the Nativos Jamming Orchestra. That's another one of my I would say more than projects, is like a mission, man. Like I was given that mission to do that, and it's basically a way to create that seed that was given to me in Suénalo. Like it's a street orchestra, that concept of carrying that culture. So with this projects, being presented at places like the Bandshell, and we're gonna have the support of like amazing videography and mapping. Like it's gonna be amazing. So it's great. We're super excited, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm like, it's great that you have the be hooked up at a place where they can get the production right to get all of these things. I know that's a big part of it when you're blending the visual and you're trying to tell a story and convey that emotion, that like real. It's a lot. It's a lot to do,
man. Yeah, it's a big risk production wise. Always, you depend so much on the momentum's happening, but the team's amazing, and the Bandshell's been so supportive of everything, and providing us with LED screen, providing us with access to questions and whatever we need. I mean, we do have a beautiful community, man, that cares.
Exactly.
And one thing I want to say, it is a free show, but please consider making a contribution. It is a community project. It is raised by the community, particularly of North Beach, which I want to give a huge shout out to all the comedy and the board. and all the people that make this happen, you know. So I want to say to the people that are coming, yes, please think on donating something, you know, like for your city. That's really to keep these productions going, so that we inspire each other to raise the level, you know, start bringing like really beautiful ideas to the stages for our city, man. Like right now, that's my focus. Like I'm so thankful that I have that opportunity, you know, to stay within the parameter where my community is, where my children are. Like I'm more in that native mode, you know.
Totally.
I want to do that. That's what fills my soul, man. So
I love
it's great. It's awesome. Yeah.
And it's great that like there's an openness in this community where you can do it. I mean, it's because the Bandshell, you think about a venue that size or something like that in a different circumstance, a different town, it could be really hard. And you know, it speaks to how much you've like entrenched yourself here in your community. You know, that you can liaise on this and be able to put on something. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly, man.
You know.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a full circle for me. Thinking of the Washington days on the drum set with the card, man, to like it's a full circle, man.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and forever grateful for this community, because just like you, I've been here almost half my life. It's like it becomes your home. You know, my kids were born here. So it's like, yeah, this is home, man. And that love starts really growing. You know, in Miami, we have that thing where we're always like, we're always like maybe complaining about things about Miami, you know. People go through their love and hate, you know.
Of course.
And sometimes you just want to like, but then really when you put it on perspective, it's like, wow, man, Miami's actually a pretty cool place.
Well, and
that it, you know, goes through its things, but I'm grateful for it, man. I love it. I love being here now and just, you know.
Well, I'll say this. It's like it's almost like a best kept secret that's getting out, because, you know, I'm seeing, you know, guys are coming in town. There's more venues where where we're getting the, you know, just like you said about the cycles. We had a cycle where we were starting to have venues that were getting national acts down, allowing local groups to open up, and then all of a sudden they were gone. Yeah. Then the clubs that pay nice guarantees and everything that we all make our living off of, they sprung back up, but we need that venue. And then now there's, you know, obviously the Bandshell opening its doors to guys who are in town like yourself, you know, who are at a level that they can back up a show, giving them some shine. And then as well as like Oak Garden, where Alejandro's liaisoning these acts. It's just really important. And anytime those guys come down, be it New York, Chicago, LA, they're like, what's going on here? And it's really exciting. And definitely the layman would never assume something like what you're putting on would be something that they would be happening here. Because people are like, oh, Miami, it's South Beach, Ferraris, fake boobs, plastic surgery, and like, you know,
right,
doing drugs on the 8th and Ocean.
We're finding that niche, you know, and connecting it and directing it and focusing it. So it's awesome, man. I'm super grateful.
Do you have any plans? I know I was reading that you've done work in Medellin and you know, throughout South America and I mean,
and Europe too. You know what it is, Aaron? I decided early on when I started traveling that I would make a mix of professional growth with community developing. I realized I was made a decision to be away from the kids, which has been very rough, man. Because I'm like a mom dad, you know. Like I love being with my kids. So, and already had to deal with already being separated with their mother. So it's like, but I said consciously, I'm like, listen, this is good because it's gonna be a fruitful thing for them as well. And I decided to go on a community scouting, you know, like finding out like connecting points in the world. And so I looked into mostly 4 places, which was Prague in the Czech Republic, which I had a friend and I had the opportunity to go there and in a very short amount of time, like make it to the top clubs in town. You know, when we went with Lanzallamas, it was really amazing, man. And then the community just embraced us so beautifully, man. They were so thankful that we came with a plan to stay and to be part of the community, that they were like, yo, yes, this is awesome, man. And I did the same thing in Medellin. I recorded my album there and I performed and started to perform regularly, you know. and met the really amazing players there, which ended up recording in my album, you know, which that was also beautiful, man. Like how those things happen when you get out of your comfort zone, the things you know, where here you might just be one more person because there's the dynamics of that. That is so true. For artists, you know, artists need to be nomads, or at least choose a time in your life that you can do that and make it work for the continuity of your life. So that's what I did, man. Medellin, Prague, Tulum, Mexico, my own land, which I also, you know, been putting so much love and energy being there and meeting the community. And then also went to Chicago recurrently, Puerto Rico. And man, yes, I am getting back to that next year for sure. Upstate New York, that's been huge for us. The whole grassroots community, you know, huge, which I'm forever thankful for them embracing us in Miami and giving us a chance to be up there, man. So yeah, hopefully soon 2022 will be a busy year for me, man.
I think that's a guarantee, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be people are thirsty for live music. It's actually been pretty cool just being, you know, out doing gigs again, like in this time, and seeing people really like not, you know, expressing that directly sometimes, but also just showing it with their actions, like really listening, really like not talking while people are playing, like really just kind of like being like, hey, this is something, you know, we're not going to just that we can maybe appreciate more because it's been gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, maybe musicians have needed that a little bit, local live music. And like, you know, it's such a funny thing. It's like music, like there's the industry of music, and then there's what most of us do, which is just like, it's just a funny thing, you know. I think what's cool is having an opportunity like what we do. I mean, to bridge the gap. I think for, you know, if you're a young person, I can't even imagine. It's like when I was, you know, like you were saying, like you know, I came up when internet was coming, was dial up and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in 1990, and you know, for me, you know, as a 10, 12-year-old kid, it was all about digging through my sister's records and just listening, and having favorite bands. And I just try to imagine, like, what a 12-year-old now, all this shit that they could do, how are we going to make sure that they get it, that they have an opportunity to learn about how art is really made. And I'm not judging any types of music, or, you know, all music is, you know, to a certain degree. But there is definitely, they're not going to be, the capitalist market is not going to be advertising, you know, pushing them towards stuff that's what I would consider more organic or more whatever, like sophisticated, you know, outside of like, you know, contemporary pop music, which can have its own, can be great too. But you know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
So when you see people out in the community, I'm always watching. It's like, you know, can I capture the attention of someone? Of course, you know, the 40, 50-year-olds who grew up where this is something exciting for them. But, you know, I want, you know, you see that like 2021 with fake ID rolling in, and sometimes looking right at a band and just, there's no connection there.
Yeah.
And I just hope we can, you know, kind of
reconnect that, right? Make it click,
happen,
man. Yeah.
And this is an interesting city where it's very, you know, you got the club culture.
Yeah.
So but then Lagniapp's like this hip spot to hang out that has music 7 nights a week. And so it's like they don't have a choice. They're going to see some shit, which I think is good. Kind of needs to be.
Yeah. That continuity, that consistency of these places is very important for us. You know, it's paramount. That's why that cycle is so difficult. You know, as you were mentioning, that year when all of a sudden all these clubs just went down, man.
Yeah.
It was like a domino effect. You know, Pax, boom, Tobacco Road, boom. Like it was like pa. I felt like it was hard, man. That was hard because those were all the hubs where we were making a living. The stage, bam.
Yeah.
Transit Lounge, boom. You know.
Yeah.
Things were shifting so much. So, but right now, I must say, there are the renaissance you were talking about. It's happening too with the new generations, man, because of freaking TikTok, which I used to hate, and now I'm starting to be like,
coming around on
yeah, man, because I check in with my daughters on what they're listening and discovering, and they're getting exposed to a lot of crap, but they're also discovering really cool bands, like that band Mother that I just heard the other day. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And it's like they're on a search. They're making, and those guys have been around, but there's a whole scene of really cool music happening. Even here in Miami, I went to that Words and Wine, and there's a takeover of these young scene, man, because they've been locked up, man. So now they're out and they're creating, and it's cool. It's cool. I'm looking forward to the new chapter of. I want to see like something like Suénalo again, you know, like this like thing like that is part of the story of the city, and you know, and despite of the of this new beginning or whatever, you know, we're on their like evolution of the city. I think it'll be great just to see that, you know, and I think we're part of that, you know, all of us here, like cats like Digo, you know, doing 100%. That jam now on Jadass on Tuesdays, you know, like those guys. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
No, I
keep that going.
You know, and it's like guys like, you know, Digo and Eric, and like just, you know, a couple years beyond me, it was like when I was, you know, I was trying to get my shit together, starting to play with them, and there is benefit to humbling yourself too. Like, you know, I think I always tried, you know, to humble myself to people older, and you know, despite whatever, I don't know, I feel like people have maybe younger generation of like, there's this fame kind of grab going on with social media, and it's kind of easy to not, you know, take a certain person, this or that. You know, we put so much emphasis just on like likes and followers, and I'm not saying I'm removed from it, but I do think, you know, it's good for us to all appreciate that kind of like that history that we have here, and you know, support each other like generationally, you know, help the younger dudes come up. And because otherwise, we end up with these big stopgaps, and it's like, that's why I'm so glad Oak Garden and places like that have popped up, and they're allowing, you know, like Alejandro, who's kind of in my generation, my age, and to kind of take the lead and be able to kind of bring both worlds together.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. That's the new startup of Miami. You know? We have a new start, and I love it, man. I'm looking forward to doing more concerts and, you know, supporting all the new versions of the Miami sound. You know, it's great. I love it, man.
Dude, so tell everybody where they can check you out, where your music, all that stuff.
So as far as that, yes, please come visit my Spotify. It's Fabi World Music. And for those that know me and my musical path, I have pretty much everything I've written there. You know, from the Elastica Beat album is there with, you know, the Smurfios on it, Smurfio Raj, Jesse Jackson, Monkey, and Sam Levine. That was the band. There's 5 tracks of that Elastica Beat. I have all my Lanzallamas music there, all the generations from the very first generation to all the way to the electro sessions that we did. And I have also just singles that I've done, collaborations. So it's a total of 6 albums, really. I packed it into 6 different albums. Made in Medellin is there. My last album is there. So yeah, it's basically Fabi World Music across all social media. FAB as in boy, FABI, Fabi World Music. And yeah, please come visit, you know, come check it out. And that's where I'll be on YouTube also. So yeah.
June 17th.
June 17th, the Bandshell, the Music Garden. We'll see you there. Please come early and bring the fam. Let's hang. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Cheers,
you, guys.
brother.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.